Hey everybody, and welcome to the Inspired Disorder podcast. My name is Ray Taylor, and tonight I'm joined by...
I'm Justin King.
Tonight we're joined by a special guest because Derek Helmer is unable to join us. Allie Seuss, as in Dr. Seuss, without the schooling, I guess. So how are you doing tonight, Allie?
I am just fine. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Fantastic.
Awesome. So if this is your first time listening to the Inspired Disorder podcast, we are a weekly art/geek culture podcast. We cover topics ranging anywhere from tech to art to movies to video games and everything in between. We tend to broadcast live Wednesday nights starting at around 11:30 Pacific Standard Time, and you can find that feed at inspireddisorder.com/live. You can find the edited version at inspireddisorder.com/podcast and in iTunes by Saturday. In tonight's episode 18, we are going to just try something new for the show. We're going to talk about our favorite places to go, art, geek type places. We're also going to discuss if we were to go on a trip, what 3 gadgets would we be taking on that trip? And kind of just go in depth on why and things like that. And then we're going to go into kind of a discussion that I've heard talked about before, and it is the topic of are video games an art form? We'll just kind of go into that. And then we'll just end it off on some of our anticipated video games of the new year. Due to Derek Helmer's absence from tonight's show, he was able to record his answers to his comments to these different topics pre-show. So we're going to be kind of live editing those in there. The advantage of this is that he can be here without being here, and also we can talk crap about his answers without him being able to explain anything.
I love it.
Yeah, so... This is what happens when you're not able to show up on a recording time. So let's just get this show started, guys. You ready to go?
Ready?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. So let's just start off with our favorite place to go, and this is just like a place that we love to go or find ourselves going to a lot, more than anywhere else. Justin, why don't we start off with you? Where's your favorite place to go, or where do you find yourself going spending most of your time at?
Most of my time, I can't really say that about this particular place, but as far as art geek style places to go to, it's the Comic-Con, the San Diego Comic-Con. I've gone for the past 4 years, and I love going to the Comic-Con because it's like the complete amalgamation of like everything artistic, everything geeky. It's all in one place. You see unreleased video games, you watch clips from unreleased movies, you can go attend actors discussions about movies, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So. And also the costume nerds that walk around, like has to be seen to be believed. So
that's like the best.
Exactly. So yeah, my favorite place to go in like the art geek realms, definitely the Comic-Con, because like I said, it's like just everything combined in one insane event.
You know what? I am completely ashamed to say this, but I have never gone to a Comic-Con before.
How dare you?
I know.
Well, oh my god.
Well, I've never gone either.
Like I've never gotten a ticket, or like I just have no way of getting. It's just always one thing or another that's keeping me from going. But God damn it, I'm gonna do it this year.
You have to definitely. Just be ready to be like just kind of claustrophobic, even though the convention center is massive, because there's so many people, and every year it seems like it gets crazier.
Insane amount of bodies.
Oh yeah, I mean. They don't have enough tickets to how many people that are in there. People have to be scamming the tickets somehow and getting in there because it's just like packed to the walls, packed, and it's the entire convention center floor and upstairs. So that's be seen to be believed.
If you love any form of art, you have to. you have to go at least once in your lifetime.
Never.
Weren't there talks of this not being in San Diego much longer, or?
Well, yeah, they were talking about that for a little while because the convention center is just not big enough anymore to house the Insanity, which is the Comic-Con now. So that was being talked about, but it'll be in San Diego for at least the next couple of years. I think they have a contract with the convention center that's up in a couple of years. Okay. So it'll be here for at least a couple more.
Well, then I have a couple more years.
There you go. So do I.
I doubt it's going to go anywhere. By that point, we're going to start building the expansion for the convention center. We're going to keep them in town because it's a huge tourist boom for the city when that thing rolls into town. So
yeah,
it'll be here for a while.
Well, let's just hear what Derek's thing is, and I don't even know if I have this queued up right. So, Derek, where's your favorite place to go?
Okay, so my favorite place to go, that's like an art or a geek place. Pretty simple for me. It's the Apple Store. That's right, the Apple Store. Simple enough. I go there because I am a Mac fanboy, and that is the home. That is the kingdom where I wish to reside. Although at the same time, I really, really dislike the Apple Store because of the hectic nature of it, the crowds trying to get in. Like, there's never a peaceful time to be at the Apple Store. It's just chaos. I've never once had the opportunity to just like, oh, let me just play with this and I'll spend a few hours here or something. No, it's like you have to get in, you have to get out. You're there on a mission. Usually it's the Genius Bar for me. I spend a lot more time at the Apple Store because of the Genius Bar than because of me getting to purchase new cool technology. If I could, I would go there more just to actually get to play around with stuff a little bit more. Maybe if I had a shopping spree, that would be a nice reason to go to the Apple Store more. And I would go a lot more often if there was one actually close to me. The nearest one's about, less than 90 minutes away. That's still a fair drive to go to a Apple Store when you can do it online. But there is something about the Apple Store that is really cool to be there.
Allie, what's your place that you go to all the time or find yourself going to a lot?
I have a place that I love going to, but unfortunately, because it's in Escondido, I don't find myself there as often as I would like to. But there's this little art gallery up there. It's called Distinction Art Gallery. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
Mm-mm.
I have not.
It's run by Melissa Walker and her husband, and they have a bunch of artists that have studios in the gallery, and then they have a bunch of artists that go through there and do shows there and put their artwork up. But it's mostly like pulpcore and like kind of pop art, and majority of it is surrealist art. And there's some amazing artists that go through there. I love going up there and just seeing what people come up with. But they have, every time they have like a new show, they put on a reception and they have like a live band that plays, and then everybody comes and eats and hangs out and drinks and sees the art, and then it's up for at least like a month or two before they take it down. But I've just seen so many just like inspiring artists there. Like a couple of my favorite artists I've got to meet from there, and one of them is NC Winters and Josh Taylor, and they're just great artists. I can't even explain to you. You have to see it to believe it, but they're just insane.
So are they like special nights for the show, or is it just like every night?
Every time they do a show, they'll like send out a flyer and stuff in your email. If you ever go up there, they'll get your email address from you and stuff so they can keep in touch with you and let you know what's going on. But they'll have the first night that they open a show is usually when they have the reception and everybody comes, and like that's when the band is there and they have all the food and the wine and the beer and everything. Yeah. And then after that, it's just welcome to the public can come in whenever they want during the day or nighttime, whenever they want to come see it.
Awesome. Sounds crazy. Sounds like fun.
It's a crazy tiny little art gallery that you probably wouldn't even notice it was there until you had been in there. Like I didn't even know it was there until my uncle took me up there just one random night. I had nothing to do and he wanted me to go with him, and I love that place now. Like some of the artists there have taught me so much. I've gone to a couple art like figure drawing classes there. They have so much going on in that one little place. It's awesome.
Sweet. So it's called Distinction Art Gallery. Okay.
They have a website or anything?
They have a myspace.com/distinction art gallery.
Sweet.
And I don't think they have a website, and she's like, the owner's not really technologically savvy.
Okay.
So MySpace is about the extent of what she does.
That's cool. Sweet.
And most of it's just word of mouth by all of the people that go there. Just kind of tell about it. That's how I found out about it.
Before we get into the next part of this one, I'll just go over my favorite place to go. I find myself going a lot on my time off. I tend to go to movie theaters a lot, watch a lot of movies.
Woohoo!
One particular one, yes, that I love going to. If there's a movie that's showing there that's really interesting, it's the Ken Theater in Kensington and San Diego area. It's like a small single screen theater. They usually show a lot of art house movies or foreign films, independent films. But I've seen a lot of awesome. I saw Brick there. I saw Chalk and a bunch of other movies. But I haven't been going as much as I would like to, because I used to live a lot closer to that theater. But that's definitely, going to movie theaters and going to that particular theater is always a treat for myself. So where would you like to be going more to, or where would you, if you, I guess, like a New Year's type resolution of a place that you would like to spend more time at, what would that place be? Justin?
Yes.
What place would you like to go? Is there a place that you would like to go to more? That you kind of go to every once in a while, but you'd like, you feel like you need to be going there more, would like to be going more than you do?
Well, that would be more kind of random art galleries like what Allie described. I mean,
Okay.
That's something I used to do back when I went to Platt College and I was getting my graphic design degree there.
Mhm.
And I just kind of stopped a couple of years ago. So just going and just looking around for art galleries and just finding them myself, and just the experience of looking for art and finding art. I need to start doing that more. So I can't really name it a specific place, just
Okay.
a goal, a resolution of sorts.
That's cool. So what about you, Allie? Is there a place that you wish you could go to more?
I kind of
Besides,
flip-flopped. I guess I
Uh-huh.
talked about the one that I wish I would
Yeah,
go
that's
to
okay.
more instead of the one I actually do go
well,
to
then
more.
what do you go to more? Let's just go back to the
I work a
original
lot
question.
and I go to school and stuff, so most of my time's taken up. But in the times that I'm not working and going to school and playing my beloved video games at home, because I'm a homebody, I am really involved in the San Diego music scene, like the metal scene.
Mm-hmm.
My boyfriend's in a band, Agori metal band.
They
Anybody
rock.
know about that? They're freaking awesome.
Definitely. I checked out their MySpace just the other day, actually, because they hit me up on Facebook. So
Yes.
I had to go do that, and hell yes.
Had to.
Oh, hell yes, rock on. But I love the San Diego metal scene. Like, not a lot of people are into it as much as they used to be. I don't know why, because the bands are awesome. I mean, like, San Diego has some of the best metal bands in the world, I think, or in America. But I try to go to a lot of shows as much as I can and support my homeboys and what they love.
Awesome.
So you've heard of like Deimos, and you've heard of Cage and bands like
Yeah,
that?
Demos and all those. But
Hell yeah.
I have my little group. I have Gory, and I support One Theory, Etched in Red, Cannibalists. Like, I love all those guys. They're really great guys, and they make amazing music.
Sweet.
And they're all friendly. Like, you wouldn't think it just on sight, but most of the people that are in this group are just the most humblest, best people I've ever met in my life. And it's awesome.
That's kind of the situation with a lot of things, where a lot of people think people are a certain
Satan
way,
worshippers.
or really angry, like violent people or something like that. They're generally not. Yeah, that's awesome. So the place that I need to go to more, or the places, I guess, are art events. The one that I used to go to all the time, it's a monthly event in San Diego. I think there's actually it's a 2-day. There's 2 different days each month that it's held, but it's called Ray at Night. It's held in North Park, San Diego. It's usually the second Saturday of every month. The thing with that is, like, I used to go to that all the time. The thing with that is, I'm also a huge UFC fan, and a lot of the UFCs I've noticed are on the second Saturday of every month. So because I've started to go watch live UFC events, I have not been able to go to Ray at Night as much as I would like to, which I think coming up this Saturday is going to be a free Saturday for myself. So hopefully I'll be able to get out there and check out. It's basically a street, Ray Street in North Park, and all the stores, and there's like a little art school and some galleries and stuff like that. They all open up for, it's kind of like a street fair, and then they have artists hang art in the stores and different businesses and things like that. But it's grown past just that street. There's a lot of businesses in that area that have kind of show their things, or show different artists. And I don't know what other day it is, but I know I've heard that there's a second day each month that they do pretty much the same thing. But there's that, and there's just other art events that I just need to get back in touch with. Like my friend Jill used to put art events on all the time in the Hillcrest area, but she is moved to San Francisco and is no longer putting on events in San Diego. So yeah, that's something I definitely need to get back in touch with, because it's definitely cool just to see what art people are creating, and just kind of see where things are going. But also it's, motivation to, get myself going, and it motivates me to kind of do more and do better. But yeah, so go to more art events. It's definitely a place that I should be going to more. So anyway,
Ray.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I had no idea that was going to be your answer, so I'm very mad that you copied me before I said mine.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, actually, both of you kind of did. What the hell?
No, I'm sorry.
Man, left field, guys.
Read your mind, and I
Yeah,
have to take
thanks.
it over.
There's no psychic cheating on this podcast. All right, so
All right,
let's
well,
just
I'll try to
move
keep it
on to
quick.
the next one. We're gonna start with Derek this time, and hopefully I queued it up right. This for the second question. So this next portion of the show, we're just gonna talk about if we went on a trip, what three, and you could only take 3 gadgets. What would those 3 gadgets be? And kind of talk about why and things like that. I don't remember how much Derek says, so I'm just going to play through his whole answer, and hopefully I'll stop it in time. So Derek, what was your thing?
If I took a trip and I could only take 3 gadgets, they would have to be my iPhone. That's a must. All right, I don't go anywhere without the iPhone, so why would I take a trip without it? Even if I were climbing the Alps in Switzerland somewhere, I would still have my iPhone. Even if I didn't have 3G service in Africa, I could still have my iPhone, and at least it's my iPod, and it's my little mobile computer, even if I don't have an internet connection. So the iPhone definitely is going with me everywhere. I'm taking a digital camera because, I'm on a trip. I'm definitely recording it. Even though the iPhone is a fair little digital camera, I would take a higher quality one. I wish I had a DSLR. I would take one of those. A little Canon 5D Mark II wouldn't hurt. A third gadget. Honestly, I would probably leave my MacBook home, which pains me because there's not a day that goes by where I'm not on my MacBook. But I would take the fabled, rumored Apple tablet with me, because that seems like that's an appropriate item to take on a nice vacation. If I took a trip, I would, if I could. There's 3 places I really want to go. First place is San Francisco, which I've never been, but as a tech geek, that's the mecca of tech geeks. So you kind of have to go to San Francisco. So at some point, yes, I'm going to San Francisco, even if it's just for a weekend. That'd be great. Another place I really am dying to go to is Ireland, as I am partly Irish. I connect with the Irish countryside. I really, really have been wanting to go to Ireland these last 5 years. It just looks like a really beautiful country. I would really love to chat with just Irish people. That's my kind of place. And I also really want to take a trip to England and see where my grandmother is from, as she actually lived in England. So there's places in Europe that I would really love to dig.
All right. So let's just start with the 3 gadgets. Justin, what 3 gadgets would you take? And since Derek started to answer, what kind of trip would you go, or where would you go with those gadgets?
So gadgets first and then the trip?
Yeah. Or you can mix it in. It doesn't matter.
Well, the trip I would take again would definitely be a recreation of the trip I took a couple of years ago. I went on a little Europe trip for about a month, and I was able to see some of the places Derek talked about. Very fortunate to have have done that, and I would like to take a trip this next time, to like some of the Eastern Europe countries that I didn't go the first time, like Belgium. Let me see, Prague, like places like that. Definitely, I want to go back to Switzerland someday because that was just insane going there. Also, I would love to go back to Dublin. So it would definitely be another like Europe trip, kind of like a mixture of new places and places I was in before that were just awesome. So that'd be my trip. As far as what I would take, it'd be a lot of the stuff I took on my last trip, which helped out significantly, like my GPS device. I brought a little Garmin with me on my first trip. Helped out a lot. Some of the cities, not so much. Like when we were in Venice, all the buildings there are so close together that GPS just didn't work at all. So that was an experience. But definitely a GPS device. I would take, of course, my iPhone. The iPhone wasn't around on my last Europe trip, so that would definitely be a huge help to have the iPhone. And also definitely my digital camera. I love taking pictures wherever I'm at, so the camera is definitely a must. So yeah, those are my 3 main gadgets for my beloved trip. Hopefully I will take here real soon. So
awesome. All right, Allie, what would you take? Where would you go?
I don't have the fortunateness to have an iPhone. I have an iTouch instead.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd take my iTouch because I have all my little apps on there and all my music. Definitely, I need music wherever I go. I'm going to copy Justin and say that I would take a GPS just because I don't want to get lost. And I have a tendency to do that in places that I don't know or I'm unfamiliar with. And definitely a camera because, I mean, it's a trip and it's your life. You want to remember your life. And I want to go, if I were to go on a trip, I would definitely want to go to Amsterdam. Have to go to Amsterdam.
Yeah, you have to go to Amsterdam.
Have to go to Amsterdam.
Speaking from experience.
Yeah, I don't think I could die happy if I couldn't go to Amsterdam at least one time. And I heard also that they were getting rid of the red light district and all of the cafes and stuff.
What?
And yeah, within like the next 4 years or so, I believe, because the government wants to quote unquote clean up the country's persona or image or whatever they're talking about. But yeah, they're thinking about getting rid of all of that, and I'm like, how can you do that?
Yeah, that's going to kill tourism. I mean, I can see them taking away the red light district, but they're not going to take away the coffee shops. There's no way. The government would collapse.
That's what people want to go there to see. Like,
yeah, exactly. That's like the reason they're going for the most part.
Yeah. So I don't know. I heard about that, so that kind of makes me antsy to get myself out there and go there before that happens. If that happens, hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully I'm wrong. But
Amsterdam for the most part was pretty clean, but you got to watch your back though, because there's a lot of people kind of like looking at you and seeing where you're at, and people approaching you left and right, asking you for anything you could ever desire. So.
Oh yeah.
Craziness.
I gotta prepare myself for that. But if not Amsterdam, definitely Japan. I've always wanted to go to Japan just because I've heard that it's just so different, and I just want to experience that. And plus, I have a shopping disease. I would definitely spend most of my money there, if not anywhere else. And I want to go to Africa. I think that it would be amazing to see just like all the animals and go on a safari. I mean, I've seen horror stories and heard horror stories about going to Africa, but I still want to do it. And Europe would be a good thing, and Canada. I mean, basically, I just want to travel everywhere. If I could choose, I would just go everywhere.
Nice.
I wouldn't limit myself.
As would I.
Sweet.
I mean, this is just saying, like that if we could go anywhere, right?
Yeah, no, you can go anywhere and take whatever you want. So.
All right, well then I choose my iTouch and my GPS and my camera, and I am off to see the world.
Sweet. There you go. So Amsterdam is trying to be like Vegas was a few years ago when they tried to be all family friendly.
Well, I've also heard that Mexico is going to be opening up coffee shops because now they're kind of like starting to relax on like weed and stuff like that. So
yeah, but who the hell wants to go to Mexico?
Yeah.
Especially with all like the recent happenings down there. Yeah.
Like come to Mexico and get high and then get murdered.
Yeah.
Be abducted.
Kidnappings are fun.
Or abducted, or have the Mexican police screw you out of all your money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yay!
Yay!
And for anybody living in Mexico listening to this,
Yeah.
totally awesome. Tell all your friends.
It's based on personal experience for the most
Yeah.
part. For
Totally.
most of us tourists going down there, anyways.
Yeah,
I've only been there once, but I lost my ID and it was horrible.
that's not good.
No.
So you're
Yeah.
illegal then, because you have to
Oh.
come back without your ID.
I
I don't know
have
if that
stories
counts.
from my pre-21 drinking days of going down there and partying on Revolucion, which is like the main strip, with all the bars. And
Oh yeah.
I won't get into that tonight.
It could be another podcast.
Just make sure you bring your GPS and your camera.
Definitely. All right, so the 3 gadgets that I would take on a trip, I didn't specify they had to be gadgets that you already own. So so I kind of cheated. I guess I didn't specify that. So
What the hell, right?
yeah, some of my gadgets
you forgot to
I don't-
mention.
I don't own. Well, it only said 3 gadgets. It didn't say like 3 gadgets you own. It could be something that I will steal and or buy prior to the vacation then. One would definitely be my iPhone. And because my iPhone has GPS capability, I was thinking about taking GPS, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure Google Maps will work over the world. But then again, I don't know. I could get lost. So my iPhone would be one. The other one would be a netbook because, it would be nice to just work on something slightly larger than my iPod, which I don't own a netbook. A netbook with, like an EVDO card so I could be connected across these, but it'd have to be, I guess, one that worked overseas. But anyway, so I'd bring like a netbook, and then I would also bring a Canon 5D Mark II because that way I could take awesome pictures and high def video, which I don't own one of those either, but I would really love to. But those would be the 3 gadgets I would take. So yeah, and the places I would go on my trip. I really want to go to like England, Ireland, Scotland, because that's like ancestry type stuff. I'd love to go to France because of the artwork. But a place I've really wanted to go for a long time is Australia. Even though a lot of people say it's very similar to the US, I think it would just be awesome to go there. Among other places, but those would probably be the top places. I mean, like a whole European vacation type thing, but then go spend time in Australia as well.
Oh yeah,
with
New
those
Zealand.
things.
I've always wanted to go to New Zealand. 'Cause of
Yes,
the,
New Zealand. I didn't
this
even think of that.
insane scenery there. Lord of the Rings and everything, and
Yeah,
Fly the Conchords.
Conchords.
Like all that shit.
Probably the coolest thing I would think about going on vacation is I love people with accents. So just hearing people talk with all the different accents would be probably one of my favorite things.
Scotland would be the most fun for that.
Yeah. When I was in Dublin, there's a situation I had at the Guinness brewery. They're like little gift shop.
Mhm.
Like this lady who checked me out there asked me if I filled up my TIX forms, and I'm like, TIX forms? She's like, no, TIX forms. Like, because I guess if you buy like a certain amount of things overseas, you can
Mhm.
actually get a form which writes you off on the tax for that country because technically you don't live there.
Mhm.
So we're going back and forth for like, I don't know, like 2-3 minutes. Like, she's like, and then somebody walked up to her and said like what the situation was, and she's like, tax forms. Like she had to like make an effort to say it like that. It's like, oh, tax forms. No, don't worry about it. But it was yeah. That was my first situation with different accents when I was over there.
That's like Snatch. Like, you like dags? You
Yeah.
like dags?
Have you
Bags?
are you
Oh, dogs.
collecting your TIX forms?
Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons why I like Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels so much,
Mhm.
because the accents, and they're good movies too,
And that part.
and that part as
All
well.
that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of weird. Today at work, there was this guy. He's come in a few times, but I swear he looks like Charles Manson. Like totally scruffy beard, like everything except for the swastika on his forehead.
Is he one of the characters, Ray?
Exactly.
No. He's not one of the characters, but he's been in there a few times, and I forgot why he's interesting other than he looks like Charles Manson. But he has like a Scottish accent. So I was like, talking to him, and totally had a Scottish accent. I'm like, you went from like the scariest person to like a totally friendly person just because of your accent. So yeah, that was just a little side story thing. So is there any gadget that you guys wish you could take, since you could only take 3? Is there something that you left off the list, or something that you wish you could take? And it could be anything. Justin? Anything?
Well, yeah, I don't have a laptop myself, so if there's one that I would wish to take, let me figure out how to talk again. Would wish to take would be like a laptop, definitely like a MacBook or something like that. Something to where I could be syncing my phone with it on the trip, or transferring my photos off my camera onto it, and then freeing up space in my memory cards, doing stuff like that. I think it'd be beneficial to a large scale trip, or any trip. So yeah, MacBook.
Same for me.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, so if you guys had just come up with just made up stuff that you don't own, then I guess mine actually would probably be similar to that. But I guess I'm retarded. I basically, if I didn't, imagine that I owned a netbook and the thing, it would be like, or if I didn't have my iPhone, it would be something like, I would definitely want to bring a GPS, or maybe a translator type, pocket translator type thing, or definitely a laptop or something like that. But since I just came up with devices that I don't own, I had everything I needed. So, so.
How facetious of you.
Yeah. So that's what I do, right? So anyway, the next thing was basically inspired by a discussion that I heard a while back. Roger Ebert had posted a blog or an article or whatever, talking about how he felt that video games would never be a form of art similar to movies are. And I remember hearing discussions on this topic and things like that, and I thought it'd be something very interesting, considering our guest tonight, Allie, is a big gamer. Justin himself is a gamer, and I wish I played games more often, but do play them from now and then. So anyway, I thought it would be an interesting question to ask you guys. Do you guys feel that video games are a form of art? And I'm really actually interested to hear what Derek says, even though he started off. So let's just start him off real quick, and then we'll just get into a little bit better discussion on the topic.
Right on.
Do I feel video games are a form of art?
Yes, do you?
Yes, video games are art. You may not see it through all the pixels, but it took a lot of heart and a lot of time to develop those video games. There's a lot of pre-production art that goes into a video game. If you ever see like the making of video game books that occasionally come with like a special edition video game, I'll say perhaps like Halo 3 or something along those lines, you'll find a lot of artwork that goes into the game. There's a lot of pre-production art that's general art, which you kind of think of art as being something you paint or something you draw. But it's just as much art when it's something technical, when you're doing sound design, when you're doing something technical such as just shading and rendering, lighting, texture mapping, stuff like that. That requires a lot of art. Art to me is something that took some of your soul, some of your spirit, your heart, your something that's a part of you. It took a lot of your creative energy to create, and a video game is definitely something in that realm. Video games are art, and you're crazy if you don't see it. There's a lot more there than just programming. It took a lot of time to make, and it took a lot of people, a lot of their talents to create it. So video games are art.
Okay, so I think that was his end of his answer to that.
Well said.
Said. So let's just start off this one with Allie. What do you think? What's your answer?
I completely agree with what Derek said. There's so much that goes into making a video game. I mean, some people come up with clay models for the video game characters. Other people do, like storyboarding, to play out the video game itself. There's like Mass Effect. If you look at the artwork in that just goes into that, they actually have a book of artwork of Mass Effect. And I mean, it's just incredible what these people can do, and then they can make it interactive. I mean, it's how can they say that video games can't be as much of art as a movie? I mean, it's an interactive movie. How can you not say that it's art? I mean, anything that you can manifest with your mind and then create into like an actual thing, it's like, I think that should be considered art.
Awesome. Justin, what do you think?
Well, Allie and Derek just pretty much covered all the bases there. I mean, I 100% agree with both of them. I mean, yes, you have to think that video games are a form of art, just like they said. I mean, with all like the fine artists, the computer artists, the graphic designers, the 3D modelers, the code writers, the even the motion capture people, if they need that for the game, like they all work towards that common goal of making the game how they want it to be, like collectively as a group. So yeah, as a whole, I mean, the game itself is a piece of art. You have to think that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you think about what goes into just making, like an ad, or like a magazine ad, or a movie trailer or anything like that. Just as much work goes into doing that. And I mean, the same people that do that stuff can easily be in graphic design for a video game, because it's the same thing. They're just working towards a different goal.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. That, I mean, video games, I mean, first, people have different kind of ideas of what art is. My personal definition, or what I tend to consider a lot of things art, is just it's a way of communicating a message. Whether it's graffiti art to fine art to music to even graphic design. They may have different reasons for communicating their message, but games are definitely a way of communicating. May not be a specific message in general, but it may be just a way, like an interactive communication between the player and the story. And yeah, definitely. I mean, way back in the day, there was, I don't remember how, I was probably like 13 or whatever. A friend of mine, they had a family friend who owned Williams Video Games, and they created, I can't remember all the games that they created, but they had a thing up in, I think it was up in Encinitas, and we went and toured their facility, and they had the whole testing facility where they had all their game testers. They had their studios where they created all the music that went into the games. They had the character development places where they had everybody on computers doing character models and just different movements and things like that. There's a lot of things that are on their own very artistic in their own right, whether it be music, just character design, even I could even consider programming a form of art, although a very boring form of art in my opinion. But I mean, I've seen people do things with CSS programming, which is a web language that do like crazy things that are very artistic. So I think that video games, because of their reputation, I mean, they have a really bad reputation as far as causing the children to do bad things, and kind of just being this time waster and whatever. I think that it kind of gets overlooked at not all the work that goes into it, but just all the different art forms that get combined to make this single experience. They're probably more of an immersive art form than even movies are.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the closest movie that get to that would be like a 3D movie similar to like Avatar. But even those aren't an interactive experience necessarily. So are there any games that you guys that consider, like, in your personal gaming experience, like, what's your most like artistic type of game that maybe you played, maybe you haven't, but maybe you think is like something that's probably the most artistic piece of gaming?
That's an excellent question.
I would stick with my choice of Mass Effect. I mean, it's a 360 game, but it's graphically beautiful. Like, I haven't played another game where it's just been so clean and crystal, and there's like barely any glitching. You know, like it's clean.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty. It's just like so pretty to look at.
Yeah.
Like while you're playing the game, you're constantly looking around at your surroundings, just amazed at like where you are and what you're doing, and it's the things that people come up with, you know, like these worlds that people come up with. It's easy.
Awesome. Justin, is there any game that kind of stands out to you as being like, you know, an artistic work of art? Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely say the Halo franchise, like not just one particular Halo game, but like kind of like all three so far combined into one kind of statement. Like I think just the Halo, like the architecture in the game and just the whole style, like that future world they created, even the weaponry, you know, everything, just every detail of Halo is like something that, as I remember playing the first Halo on Xbox and thinking just, wow, like this is like from a designer's point of view, like from an architect's point of view, like insane, like broke a lot of boundaries. So I would say Halo, also BioShock, a more recent game, and I'm sure that the next BioShock's going to be just as even more badass. So, yeah, BioShock for sure. Assassin's Creed also, the 2 Assassin's Creed games were just insane so far, from artistic standpoint and from a historical standpoint too. Those games actually teach you about the history you're playing through as you're playing the game. So, yeah, all that stuff is cool and stuff.
Awesome and stuff, and yeah,
Sweet,
awesome. Yeah, there's different. I mean, I guess we should go into just our definition of what we consider art. Like, you know, if it looks good, if it's something that you enjoy looking at, if it, you know, conveys a message. I mean, there's a lot of different definitions for what you consider art. And then I guess we could just talk about it as far as something other than video games, because just kind of narrow it down to like, we could just do like 2-dimensional art or something, like non-interactive 2-dimensional art. But just a video game that stands out to me is kind of more of an expressionistic type of video game art. It's an iPhone game called Alice or Alice, Eliss. And it's basically just sounds and shapes, and you're trying to fit like these orbs into circles, and it's kind of hard to describe, but like on an artistic level, it's kind of it's more artistic, I think, than it is more of gameplay. But it's kind of like a, you know, kind of out of left field. And then there's another one that I've heard a lot of people talk about, which seems to me, just by the descriptions and just from the game footage I've seen, Flower, which I think is a PS3 game. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I've never heard of that one.
Oh man, Justin, you know what I'm talking about?
I think I do. Is that the one where
Dan
Dan
Trachtenberg talked about it on Totally Rad Show in their year end, and they.
Is it the one where like you're controlling wind and like you're just flowing through?
Kind of, you're kind of like flying through fields and you're collecting like flowers, but then the music kind of goes along with stuff. It's and I don't know. I guess just check out game footage of it. I'm pretty sure it's a PS3 game. I haven't played it myself, but just from what I've seen as far as footage and just what I've heard people talk about, that would be definitely, you know, an artistic, I would say, game. And then maybe, you know, even, you know, if you're going to compare games to movies, I would say the Grand Theft Auto, you know, there's many of the Grand Theft Auto games that are very similar to movies.
Grand Theft Auto and Uncharted.
Yeah.
For sure.
There you go. Yeah, Uncharted. So I mean, it depends on what you're comparing it to, but there's a lot of games, and I think, you know, that there was another article that Ebert posted to kind of explain his previous article, and it was more him backtracking, or, you know, he got a lot of backlash from what he had said from gamers, and he kind of went saying on this one, I didn't read the whole thing, but I kind of skimmed over it, that he doesn't consider video games to be high art, which, kind of, I don't necessarily consider a lot of movies, like a lot of mainstream movies, to be considered high art. There's some art house movies and some independent movies that I guess could be considered high art, but you'd
then
have
what is
to...
the definition of high art?
Exactly, yeah.
Art? Like, that's ridiculous in my opinion.
So,
I don't
but
think
there are
should be
games
like levels. There shouldn't be any limitations on art.
Yeah, and I think there's probably a lot of independent video games out there, and a lot of like downloadable games, like in Xbox Arcade and stuff like that, that are definitely a lot more artistic. I know there's a lot of video games that rely heavily on music, as well as visuals, to where it's not like a typical game. So I'm sure there's tons of independent games out there that would probably fit into, Ebert's definition of high art, but it's not something that, somebody that is a movie critic would necessarily be involved with or know about. Just like movies, most art house films, most people won't have heard of. So I just think it's more of, Ebert's ignorance to the whole video game genre or art form, I should say, rather than, him. He's an authority on movies, but by no means I don't think he's an authority on art or video games. So it's kind of a one-sided argument to where, that's like somebody saying that in the video game field saying that there's no movies that have a story structure that's as good as video games, when they barely see, movies, and all they do is develop video games. So, or like a fine artist, like a painter, saying that movies and video games, there's no way they could be considered art.
It's just a prejudiced, ignorant comment.
Exactly. So, awesome. So why don't you guys, just some upcoming video games that you guys are, looking forward to for the new year?
All right.
You already brought up BioShock 2. That was my choice. One of them.
Yeah, definitely. Like, the first game was just out of control. Like, just
Dude, I just started playing it again for like the 5th time, just so I can redo it before I start playing the second one. Yep, refresh.
What's the whole artistic style? Like, how everything looks so like appropriate to the time period it is. Like, the 50s.
And just like how they are. Like, it's just crazy. But that video game never ceases to scare the shit out of me.
Oh, I know. This next one too looks even crazier as far as like the horror aspects of it goes.
Horror aspect, and just the fact that it's supposed to be so much darker than the first one, because it's like you're coming back 10 years later.
Yeah.
And
to that underground or underwater city.
And I guess you can like swim and all kinds of crazy other stuff in this one. And your big daddy and
like the guys with the big scuba like outfit thing on, yeah.
And there's multiplayer.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
I'm excited for that one.
Like, you'll be able to use like all your powers too for multiplayer. Like
I'm pretty sure. I don't know how you wouldn't be able to.
Like, what do they call that stuff again? The stuff you inject?
Plasmids.
Plasmids.
Plasmids. Your plasmids and all your weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you guys already started talking about.
We're talking about one of them, definitely.
Which one were you talking about?
BioShock 2.
Oh, okay. Justin, have you finished that one yet?
Finished BioShock?
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, I finished it a long time ago.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the many that I started.
One of the craziest games, start to finish.
That is one that I can replay over and over again with no problem.
Yeah. The graphics still look really good too. Like, it's like 2 years old now, that game, and it still looks amazing.
Oh, it's longer than that, isn't it?
It might be. Was it 06 or 07 when it came out? I think it
was like 06.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I remember it was when I lived in Chico, which was like 3 or 4 years, or like 3 years ago. They were talking about, like, me and my friends were talking about it, and he was telling me about it. He's like, "Oh, it's this crazy video game where you're like all under the water, and there's this gigantic city, and you have to kill all these people." But it was like 3 years ago, I think. So it's an older video game, but it's still sweet.
Oh yeah, I played it through it like at least I think like 2 times now,
Mhm.
something like that. But it was the best looking game until like just recently. Like,
Yeah.
it's like this newest batch of games like Gears of War 2 and like Assassin's Creed 2. So
You know what? I have been addicted to Borderlands for so long.
I heard about that game. I saw
Yeah.
the review of it too. Like, it looks pretty crazy. It's like cell shaded stuff.
Borderlands, yeah, I heard Borderlands is supposed to be awesome. Do you
It has been my favorite game for a while. I mean, it replaced BioShock.
do you watch or listen to any other podcasts by chance?
I listened to some zombie ones.
Some
That's
zombie
about it.
podcasts?
Mm-hmm.
One that you'd probably like, that all three of us, Derek, Justin, and myself, watch is a Totally Rad Show.
I heard you guys comment on that a bunch of times.
It's a video podcast, and and they talk about movies and video games, and then sometimes TV, sometimes comic books. But it's definitely one you'd probably like, because they just did their year-end awards, like their best movie, best video game, and they all voted Borderlands to be their favorite video game of the past year.
Oh yeah, I am all for that game.
Which totally makes me want to go buy it and like start playing it for a day or two and then stop.
I heard it's kind of like an RPG, like first person shooter.
It's amazing. Like, it's all so many things rolled into one. It's an RPG, first person shooter. You're right. It's kind of like, have you guys ever played World of Warcraft?
No.
I played it like a little bit, but like maybe 5 minutes worth. It was on somebody else's computer. I don't have my own profile, nothing like that.
It's like nothing. It's nothing like that game, and like the whole grand scheme of things.
It's a good example then.
Okay, so you can pick your class of person that you want to be. Like, you could be a soldier, you can be a berserker, you can be a siren, or you can be a hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And each one has special skills. And so once you pick your character, your person, you can build on a special skill. So I was a siren, so I could like phase walk. I could turn invisible, and then like I could come up behind you and like totally rogue styles kill you. And then I picked my my special skill thing to be assassin. So I had all kinds of like sniper rifles and like, close and like long range. In between there was like no like middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
But there's that, and then you can like there's over 1 million weapons. Over 1 million weapons that you can choose from. Yes, over
1 million.
1 million.
What the hell?
It's like Diablo, where like you go around and you kill people and they drop loot and you pick it up. Like, they could drop money, they could drop more weapons, they could drop stuff that you need, anything from there, and it goes on and on and on. But there's like regular style weapons like assault rifles, sniper rifles, everything like that, pistols, and then there's elemental weapons where it's like you can get these acid raining grenades, or you can get bullets for your sniper rifle that will light people on fire.
Yes.
It's like just the most awesome game. And I mean, it's got split screen co-op, so you can like, and the split screen is actually pretty sweet. Usually I don't like split screen because it's kind of confusing, but with that one, it's not that confusing. I mean, it's pretty sweet. And then there's 4-player multiplayer online. So one of 4 people can be each class, and then you can, as a team, you can use all your powers. And if you're playing multiplayer, the enemies get harder, and the loot that they drop gets better.
Yeah, let's check that out for sure.
Yeah, and I heard like when you're doing like the co-op stuff, it's really like kind of teaming up if certain people have like close range type.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like,
other people have like long range type stuff.
If I'm playing with a soldier, he can like go all tank style and hit him from head on. I can phase walk, and then sneak up behind him and then just stab him in the back.
Yeah. While
he's paying attention to somebody else.
So you can combine your powers into like one force of ass kicking.
Totally.
So, what games are you guys looking forward to in the new year? Or
definitely
this year,
BioShock.
I guess.
Definitely BioShock.
Oh, yeah, BioShock 2 for sure.
They're making a Batman Arkham Asylum too.
Oh yeah,
Ugh.
that's up there. That's up there then, because that game was That was probably in my top 3 of games of last year for sure.
It's funny because all my favorite games start with Bs. Like I have a B collection: BioShock, Batman, and Borderlands.
Nice. The triple B combo of awesome.
Also, Dante's Inferno looks pretty sweet. I mean, it's a total God of War knockoff, but the storyline looks good. I mean, they tried to follow as closely with the storyline as they could with Dante's book, like the Dante. I forgot like the whole thing, but
the 7 levels of hell or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They took quotes from there and put it in like the loading screens and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I played the demo a little bit the other night, and I played that for a good 15 minutes, you know, like, and it was pretty sweet. I mean, it's along the same lines of God of War, is where you have to like, you know, fight the enemies and then figure out a puzzle and then fight the enemies, and there's like health statues and like build up your mana and stuff like that. But you have like your good powers, your godly powers, your holy powers, and then you have your evil like hell powers. And the whole thing is that you're like this warrior, or like the soldier from the Crusades, and you get betrayed and you go home and find your girlfriend's dead and her soul's been captured by the devil. So you go on a mission to get her soul back.
I hate when that happens.
Right? I mean, it
such
sucks.
a pain in the ass.
Yeah. But that one looks pretty sweet, and there's a couple other
Isn't
games.
Isn't there the new God of War
3?
Yeah,
God of War 3. Yeah, this is the game that's going to make me buy a PS3. Is this game?
Oh, yeah.
I don't have one yet, but I must play this game because God of War 1 and 2 were some all-time classics in my opinion.
I just played through 1 and 2 on my PS3, the collection that they put out of 1 and 2 for PS3.
Nice.
And I mean, it's funny to watch it because they redid some of the graphics of the game, so the game looks better. Pretty cool. And then like they couldn't do anything about the little movies in between, so they still look all pixelated and stuff. Huh. But it's good, and I can't wait to play that game. I mean, it looks awesome. I played the demo.
So the game is like remastered, like to how he looks in God of War 3, or is it just like?
No, nowhere near as good as that. I don't think
okay.
It's not anywhere near as good as that, because I played the demo, and the demo is like at least like 5 times better than the first couple of them, but it still looks sweet. I can't wait to play it.
For sure. Halo Reach, I have to say Halo Reach, because this is going to be like the last game in the Halo universe, pretty much, or so they say. We'll see, but yeah, Halo Reach is the prequel to the Halo trilogy, so it takes place before all the stuff of Halo 1, 2, and 3 goes down. So definitely looking forward to that.
Did anybody? Okay, kind of going off topic here, but is the Halo movie still going on? Because I keep hearing things about it, and then I hear that it's not happening.
I'm sure it will. I don't think. I mean, it's gone through. Like the guy that did District 9 was supposed to direct it, then they didn't want him to because he's never done anything. Yeah. But I don't know if there's somebody attached to it now. I mean, I think there was news that
the guy that did Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Well, he. What is his name?
Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson. Yeah, Peter Jackson was supposed to produce it, but I don't think he's involved with it either.
Yeah. Apparently, there's like a big video game movie boom going on.
There's a lot.
Have to be.
They're making a BioShock.
Yeah, BioShock's supposed
Call
to be
made. Call of Duty movie, from what I hear.
Yeah, Gears of War.
Yeah. There's also supposed to be Drake's Uncharted or
yeah.
But I don't. But that's kind of like a take on what's his face, Indiana Jones already. From what I've. So it's kind of weird that it's like a game kind of modeled after certain movies, but then it's like a movie based on something that's modeled after a movie. So it's like art imitating life, imitating art type of thing, I guess.
Repeat of the cycle.
Yeah.
It'll happen eventually.
Yeah. The thing with that is like usually movies that go through this kind of drama production, like I don't even know if there's a script yet.
But there's that one video that's been circulating YouTube forever.
But I don't know. I mean, with the thing,
a lot of the commercials for like, especially for ODST, were just like a little mini movie that was like to that kind of quality. So,
but I mean, the commercials and like little videos and stuff like that, that's not fleshing out any kind of story really. So,
no.
You know, it's really hard. Okay, here on IMDb, it's for 2012. I guess they do have writers Stuart, Betty, and Alex Garland are attached. One for spec script, the other for the original screenplay. Doesn't look like there's any directors attached to it. So it's pretty far off, it looks like.
2012, so means it's not going to happen, right?
Well, yeah, it's
We'll
kind
see.
of far away.
We'll
December
see.
21st, 2012.
So this is just stuff that's announced, but yeah, it's like the crazy thing. I guess we are kind of going off topic. The crazy thing is not like that there's going to be video game movies made, because that's just eventually going to happen. It just takes like a really good one to be made to, really get a lot of money behind it. But the fact that a lot of movie studios are buying up properties like Battleship and Monopoly, and there's like actually big directors attached to like those movies, like based on board games.
What the hell?
That's weird.
Hold on, let me see. The Monopoly one is crazy.
Is it going to be James Cameron's Monopoly?
No. It's no, but that
Monopoly in
Ridley
3D?
Scott, I think. Is it Ridley Scott?
Another epic 3D adventure.
Yeah. Let's see. I think it's Ridley Scott was the last person.
Well, Ridley Scott's going to be doing the Alien
Monopoly,
prequel movie
yeah.
also. That's just
Really?
I just heard about that the other day. Yeah.
Ooh. Is Sigourney Weaver going to be in it?
Not sure about that. It's supposed to be a prequel to Alien, but I'm not sure how many years before the
Oh,
original
okay.
Alien.
Interesting.
But Ridley Scott's doing it, so it might be pretty crazy.
The Untitled Alien prequel. It's announced, but it's not scheduled for 2011. So, but yeah, I guess he's not officially attached to the Monopoly movie. But yeah, there's a lot of board games that are getting. I think Chutes and Ladders is one of them too. I don't know, but
How would you make a movie out of that, though?
I don't know. I really don't know.
It was a big mystery.
Yeah, but anyway, let's go back to where this started with just movie or
We're
video
supposed
games.
to be talking about.
Yeah, are there any other video games that you guys are kind of psyched for that you've heard of? I know it's not a video
Splinter
game.
Cell?
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
Splinter Cell
definitely.
is awesome, and yeah, this looks like it's going to be amazing.
Conviction.
I love how it's like totally like a Taken, like the movie Taken.
Yeah.
It's like a man on a mission, and
Well,
it's
and it's
in your face. Like I love the preview for it when he just smashes that guy's face through a sink.
It's gonna be like
Yeah.
a mixture of like the Bourne Identity and like all that stuff too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the whole fighting, like stuff behind that game.
well,
So,
what I've heard, it's a new take on the whole Splinter Cell type game. Like it
It's
kind
not
of
so much stealth anymore.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
like straight
It's
out.
probably going to be a mix. Of
A mix
stealth
of the
and-
both, yes,
yeah.
but not so much of the stealthness.
Kind of Rambo-ness and stealthness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely. But from what I've heard, the Project Natal is supposed to be coming out next year.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's something that I'm kind of excited to see what games maybe that comes with it, or how that's going to be used.
how much it's gonna cost? That's my main concern.
That too. I mean, but it's a video game peripheral, so they're usually not too crazy, but it's probably going to be a couple $100, I would imagine, at least. But I mean, if there's,
I'm hoping like 150, like somewhere around
Yeah.
there. I'll pay 150 for that.
but I mean, it might be like something that's bundled with some like proof of concept type things, kind of like how the Wii was bundled with Wii Sports, which weren't really games, but they were kind of
Yeah.
just intro type demos, games,
yeah.
that you could, which a lot of people like without, just on their own. So maybe it'll come bundled with something like that. But I'm sure like developers are already, if not soon, developing games for that. But I don't know, it'd just be kind of interesting to see how that kind of changes the way you play games, or what kind of new games could be coming out with that. That's the only thing that I really.
Well, also just the ability to navigate through menus, like using your
Yeah.
hand. That's going to be, if that like actually works like they're showing it working, that'll be pretty
Yeah.
badass. Like be able to sit back there like on your couch, like swiping your hand across, to move the Netflix thing along or whatever, like
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
would be cool.
Ultimate laziness, like not even
Yeah,
have
it
to
would be
have their
the
remote.
epitome of laziness, but it would be awesome.
Although
Laying there, just like go left, go left, go left. It's
waving
like,
your arms
actually
around
doing
is more work than pushing a button on a remote. So it's not as lazy, right?
Wait, what was that?
Like instead of using the remote control to go left through the menus, you'd be waving your hands, kind of like
It's actually more exercise.
I guess
Yeah, Minority
it's
Report.
physical movement.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's actually not as lazy. So there.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, that totally, especially since the Xbox is kind of becoming more of a entertainment console rather than just video games. Like you got Netflix, you can sync it up with your library of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just becoming. If they'd have to change the interface, I think it'd be cool if they did just a specific interface. If you had that, like something cool besides their menu system that they have right now, because that's kind of annoying.
Yeah,
But
the clicking, scrolling.
Yeah, the current dashboard.
Yeah.
I think I actually like the initial Xbox dashboard a little bit better than what they're doing right
Yeah.
now with it.
I mean, it looks cool what they have right now, but it's not. It looks cool, but the function of it isn't quite there.
Yeah, it just needs a few more updates to like the whole
Yeah.
system.
Exactly.
So for sure, dude, for sure.
For sure.
For sure. So any other games, or you want to move on to recommendations for the week?
Well, I did hear that Gears of War 3 is possibly coming out this year,
yeah.
but that's just a rumor at this point. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm definitely a fan of the Gears of War
Me too.
epicness of those two games.
I'm pretty sure that's just a rumor because I would be on that if that was true.
Yeah, that's just something I've heard, from a little bird around the way there.
You know what? I'm actually looking forward to Red Dead Redemption.
Actually, me too. Yeah.
I think that game sounds awesome because I'm not a big fan of the Grand Theft Auto series, but it's like the game sounds like a Grand Theft Auto Western style.
Did you play Red Dead Revolver?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, it's the sequel to that. Did you play that one, Justin?
I did a little bit, yeah. I also played that newest one, the Call of Juarez, which was like a first-person shooter Western, which was the second one that just came out.
I never played the first one. I heard the first one sucked booty, but
it did,
all right.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm definitely looking forward to this also. Like you said, it's like Grand Theft Auto Western style.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally open world. Like, yeah, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah, Red Dead Revolver was fun. I remember playing that one a lot. So, cool.
And Army of Two, 40th Day. That one looks pretty sweet too.
I played the first one. I gotta say, I played the first Army of Two, and I hated it. I thought it was a piece of crap. Yeah. I don't know. Just the control scheme was just so off, and the button layout was just really weird to me.
I never played the first one, but the second one is pretty sweet. I mean, I think that if I played it like on online to where I could just have the full screen to myself, it would be better because the chance that I got to play the demo, it was just a split screen.
Okay.
And it kind of sucked. But and I think the controller that I was using one of the crappy generic controllers too, and the buttons were sticking, it was pissing me off. But other than that, I think the graphics of the second game got better and the gameplay got a little better, and you can make your own masks in this one, and I think that's pretty
sweet. Well, the masks are like the biggest part of those two,
the
two characters in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
So for sure.
And
I
then,
can't really think of anything else right now. I think we covered most of the bases there.
Yeah. There's a bunch of video games coming out this year.
We're skipping like the whole PC realm, which I'm not too familiar with personally. Like I've always been a console gamer, so I'm sure there's a lot of PC stuff coming out this year that people are probably screaming us to mention. But
Diablo 3 and StarCraft, or
Diablo
StarCraft
for sure.
Yeah, there's new StarCraft supposed to be coming out. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm not really into the PC games either. Sad to say.
Sucks for all you guys listening that are. So let's just move on into our weekly recommendations. This is the part where we each recommend to our listeners something that we've been into recently, or something we're into in general. It could be, an application, an iPhone app, gadget, movie, video game, a book, magazine, whatever it is that we're currently into, we're just going to recommend it to you. Justin King, what is your recommendation for this week?
Well, I just picked up a game that's been out for a little while, but I have to talk about it because my mind has been blown. It is Assassin's Creed 2. I never played the first Assassin's Creed that much, so this game was just like, it's been mind-blowing so far. It's got like some of the best graphics I've ever seen on Xbox so far. As far as the open world and stuff, it's really cool. You can jump and crawl buildings and pretty much go wherever you want in the game. You start off as basically you're an assassin, and you're in a 16th century Italy, so you're in like Florence and Venice. But what's cool is that when you like say jump on top of a building, it'll have a little icon pop up of where you are and the name of that place. Like, for example, like the Plaza San Marco or something. You can click on it and then actually see the history of that place you're at. So as you're playing through the game, seeing pieces of art that are around you and going to certain places, you can actually learn about those places and like how what you're doing influences that situation. So it's kind of like a history lesson and a video game, and it's awesome. So yeah, sweet. Assassin's Creed 2 is my recommendation for Xbox 360.
And for what I've heard, the graphics on the 360 version are better than the PS3.
Yes, that's what I've heard, although I have not seen the PlayStation version. So
the PlayStation version I've heard has got this glitch to where you know the button that you push to pick up everything and to like do certain stuff.
Mm-hmm.
On the PS3, there's a glitch where it takes like 10 minminutes to pick up anything or to drop anything, or like I don't know. I've had a couple people come in to my work and tell me that. I'm like, I haven't heard anything about that for anybody else, but okay. Yeah. And it's only been the PS3 years.
Huh.
It's weird that a PS3 game looks worse than an Xbox game, because from everything I've heard, the PS3 is like the more powerful machine.
Yeah. So.
That kind of baffles me. It's got the Blu-ray too.
Yeah, you know, what the hell?
I don't know. I've heard that it looks better on the 360 too.
Yeah.
I'm far from beating it. I've only played like maybe the first few levels of the game, so like I don't have a live experience with it yet, but from what I've played so far, because like I said, I haven't played the first one really at all, so it's just a whole different style of kind of stealthy, kind of badass game. So I like it a lot.
Sweet. So Allie, what's your recommendation for the week?
I got introduced to Chan-wook Park's movies. He's a Korean film director, and he did like we were talking about earlier, he did Thirst, and it's like a vampire movie. Mm-hmm. And he did like another one, one other one, joint security, something like that. But he did the Vengeance trilogy, and it's like 3 movies. Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Old Boy, and Sympathy for Lady Vengeance, and I got a chance to watch 2 of the 3. I haven't had a chance to watch Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance yet, but the other 2 blew my freaking mind. Like, not so much in just like the way that he directed it, which he did a really good job of directing the movies, but just the storyline and what happens, and just the things that whoever wrote these films came up with. I mean, it's just these are the movies that like you walk away from and you just think about for a long time afterwards.
Yeah, he wrote those movies.
He did? Okay, well, he was amazing. Yeah. I don't know how he came up with that, but I mean, it's brutal. Like, they're just brutal movies.
Yeah. Old Boy is actually supposed to be getting remade. And I think the director is going to be Spielberg, and the main character is supposed to be Will Smith.
That's weird.
From what I've heard, yeah. I don't know if that's still for sure.
Anybody that's actually seen Old Boy, I mean, like, maybe can concur with me on this, but I can't see Will Smith in the starring role of Old Boy.
Yeah, or Spielberg directing that movie.
Like, make him pull, like, I just think that would send him into therapy, or he would just ruin it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I can't see him being in it or Spielberg directing that movie.
No, not at all.
But yeah, that's totally, his movies are crazy, but they're like really good.
I could see Ridley Scott directing it.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably a lot of, I don't like the fact that it's being remade.
Yeah,
because the original's like crazy.
I don't think you can remake that.
Yeah, and it's just
it should be left alone in its entirety and brilliance.
Sweet. So yeah,
I just checked it out on Netflix actually, because I got to watch them, the other 2 at my friend's house, and they're all on Netflix on the instant queue thing. So anybody that wants to watch those that has Netflix, go for it. I highly recommend it. I mean, you're gonna be I wouldn't say depressed, but you're just going to be taken aback by them.
Yeah,
They're very hard-hitting films.
definitely.
So this director is what's the name again? One more time.
The director or the movies?
Well, just the director of the
Director.
movies. It's all the same director, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the same director. Chan-wook Park.
Chan. Okay.
Chan dash Wook.
Park.
Yeah.
Chan
Last name Park.
Park.
Chan-wook Park.
Chan-wook Park.
Chan-wook Park.
Aha! I see. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome.
Arigato. Yeah, although that's
and the
Japanese.
Vengeance trilogy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So my recommendation for this week is another podcast. And it's probably one of the funniest podcasts I listen to. And it's by a guy that everybody has heard of, Kevin Smith.
Oh,
the
yes.
Director of Clerks, Chasing Amy, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and all those other movies.
Classics.
He is the host, and his co-host is Scott Mosier, which is the producer of all of the Kevin Smith movies, and the podcast is SModcast, and that's SModcast, SModcast, and I think he does it weekly, which is pretty cool considering he's a director and he just came out with, or he's coming out with a new movie, but it's hilarious. Like, there's no real set. It's basically they just sit around and talk about just random whatever. Sometimes they kind of look for obscure stories to talk about. But, I mean, Kevin Smith is, like, totally baked and smoking weed throughout the whole podcast. And Scott Mosier is kind of like the straight man. But it's, like, an awesome, like, chemistry that they have as far as, like, this last one they were talking about going back in time. Like, there's a question, because Kevin Smith, I used to follow him on Twitter, but there's some days where he will reply to every single person that asks him a question. So you'll go to your Twitter stream and it'll be like 300 Kevin Smith replies to other people, and it just gets annoying. So I stopped following him. So it was just annoying at times. But there's one question that he's been asked a bunch of times, and it was basically, if you could go back in time and have a three-way with yourself and your wife or your girlfriend at the time, which it was asked to Kevin Smith, so it'd be him and his wife, would he do it? And he's it's like just hilarious how first he's describing it to Scott Mosier, and just Scott's he's like breaking it down in like a logical sense, and they kind of go on these like crazy like story ideas for just what would happen and would they do. It's like the most hilarious. Like, I was laughing out loud the whole time listening to that. But yeah, totally. And I think that was they're on episode 101. I think that was the one I listened to, or it was 100. But it's the most recent one. But yeah, SModcast is hilarious. And sometimes there used to be some live Kevin Smith events on Netflix Watch Instantly, where he kind of just stands up in front of a crowd and just does a Q&A and stuff like that, or just talks about random stuff. And they've actually done a couple live versions of the podcast. But it's hilarious. So my recommendation for the week is SModcast. It's a podcast you can find on iTunes.
Sweet. Yeah, I gotta check that out. You talked about that on Twitter a couple times.
Dude, it is
check that out.
So, like, I listen to some funny podcasts, but that one, like, is so funny. It's hilarious. Yeah, so that's our recommendations for the week. So let's just wrap up this episode, guys. Episode 18, and we'll start that by just telling everybody where we can find you online, find more of your work online. And let's just start with our guest, Allie Seuss. Mm-hmm. Where can we find you on the internet?
I do a lot of Facebooking, so I'm always on Facebooking. I have I'm not sure how. I don't think there's like a certain website thingy for that, but I mean, you look me up, Allie Seuss, ALLIESEUSS. Also Twitter under WooBear, W00Bear, and that's about it. Also, if you wanted to check out anything that I talk about or listen to or watch or read, I post a lot of stuff on either of those. So check that out. And that's about it.
And then where can we find more of like Agori stuff? Do they have a website?
Agori. They also have Facebook, mostly MySpace. So it's myspace.com/Agori Music, AGHORI Music. No spaces. Agori Music.
Sweet.
Definitely check them out.
Sweet. And Justin King, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You can go to my blog. That is at jkdesigns.squarespace.com. You can also follow me on Twitter. I am Twitter.com/JustinKing1. That is a capital J and a capital K and the number 1. You can also find me on Facebook at Facebook.com/JustinKing1. No capitals there, and also the number 1. So that's where I'm at.
Sweet. And you can find me on Twitter. It's twitter.com/RayTaylor. You can see all of my work at inspireddisorder.com, anywhere from my artwork to creative writing and podcasts, things like that. And you can find all the updates for that on Twitter at twitter.com/inspireddisorder. There's no E in disorder. And you can friend me and a bunch of other people up at the official Inspired
Me too.
And Derek and Justin. And hopefully Allie, if she signs up, at the official Inspired Disorder social network, which is much better than MySpace or Facebook. It's inspireddisorder.net.
At inspireddisorder.com/podcast, you can subscribe, comment, download, look at show notes, look at back episodes, do all that stuff at inspireddisorder.com/podcast. Also, if you have questions or suggestions, you can email us at inspireddisorderpodcast@gmail.com. Make sure to listen live every Wednesday night at 11:30 p.m. at inspireddisorder.com/live.
You can check out all the Inspired Disorder and Inspired Disorder podcast merch at inspireddisorder.com/store. That is also the place where you can donate. You can also go to inspireddisorder.com/podcast, and you can donate to the podcast. If you donate $10 or more to the podcast, we will mention your website or your podcast or whatever you want us to pimp on the show. Donate $10 or more, and we will do that. If you would like to be a guest, a sponsor, or if you are a band or musician and you want us to use your music in the podcast, you can send us an email to inspireddisorderpodcast@gmail.com. As far as if you are a band or a musician, we don't have any money because at this point we're not getting paid by anybody. So basically, if you let us use your music, we will help promote your band of any upcoming shows or your website, etc., etc. So send all those to inspireddisorderpodcast@gmail.com. Great show tonight, guys. Thank you
very much.
Thank you, Allie, for
Thanks
filling
for
in for
having me.
Derek. And
thanks for being here. Thanks for
I
filling in for us.
quite enjoyed it.
Awesome. We look forward to having you on again. And have a great night, guys.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Later. I like that show very much.
Fast good.
Very, very good.